President Barack Obama has told Republican congressional leaders he wants to find common ground after their crushing wins in midterm elections. The results were largely as predicted. The Democrats managed to hold on to the Senate but lost control of the House. Joining me now to analyse these results is CEO of the US Studies Centre at Sydney University, Geoff Garrett. Professor Garrett, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. A terrible result for Barack Obama's administration. How difficult will the next 2 years be?
Well, it will certainly be difficult in policy terms. I think what we'll see from Obama and the Democrats is a tack to the centre, maybe extend the Bush tax cuts, talk more seriously about spending cuts and probably free trade. But in political terms, I actually think it's an opportunity for Obama. It's an opportunity for him to go from being the leader of his party in Congress, a kind of legislative leader, to being the leader of the country, a president again. So policy terms tough, but I think politically there might be a real opportunity for Obama.
How did it get so bad? He swept to power on such a wave of popularity and optimism. How has it, this is the worst result, worst swing in 60 or 80 years.
Yeah, I think the answer is the old Bill Clinton one. It's the economy's stupid. 10% unemployment, 25% of Americans owe more on their homes than the homes are worth. 1 in 7 Americans is below the poverty line. No amount of feel-good is going to win you any support with voters with that bad an economic environment.
Has he done that bad a job, or was the economy in that bad a shape when he took power?
The economy was in bad shape when he took power. Things haven't gotten better, and I think for the Republicans, the salt in the wounds for them is that he's rung up the trillions of dollars in debt since then. But the untold story of this election is how much Obama got out of Iraq, healthcare reform, financial reform, big fiscal stimulus that probably stopped a second depression. All that swept away because of just how bad the economy is. Has
he failed to get that message across? I saw a criticism made of him that he's no good at the soundbite. He's got this great charisma and he's a great public speaker, but he can't get the TV soundbite and the key messages out there.
Yeah, maybe the soundbite point is a good one, but I think it's an irony that here's this guy 2 years ago, he walked well above the water, he was the greatest communicator for a generation, and now the critics say all he can do is talk into a teleprompter. I don't think Obama is much different. What is different is the state of the US economy. So we had people on the left who were too depressed to vote, people on the right were fired up to vote. The result is a big swing to the Republicans.
So, talking nuts and bolts, how does he continue this reform agenda that he's had without control of the House?
Well, the reform agenda in a left sense is probably not looking very good. So no immigration reform, probably no action on climate change. I think it'll be these more centrist things having to do with the nuts and bolts of the economy, extend the tax cuts, get serious about spending cuts and maybe free trade. That's a place where there is the possibility of bipartisanship as long as the Republicans are willing to go from being the party of no to being a constructive player in Washington.
It's not just the Republicans he has to deal with, it's the Tea Party Republicans, and that, entirely different beast.
Yeah, of course, some of the sexiest Tea Party candidates didn't win today, but certainly I think the right wing, the populist wing of the Republican Party would think they did well. How that's going to play out in Washington in legislative politics, I don't know, but it probably means we're going to see a lot more of Sarah Palin, and there's going to be a lot more talk about her as a real alternative to Barack Obama in 2012.
Is the Tea Party movement going to gain traction, do you think, as a recognised political party?
Well, I don't think there's a capital P in the Tea Party, and I'm not sure that there will be, but certainly before, particularly in economic downturns, we've seen the populist right of the Republican Party do very well. Barry Goldwater, Ronald Reagan, Newt Gingrich, we've seen this before, but I don't think at the moment somebody like Sarah Palin is electable as president. So if the Tea Party is going to become a real force, they're going to have to come up with a different leader, somebody who could take on Barack Obama effectively in the presidential election in 2012.
Bill Clinton managed to win a second term after a very significant swing against him in his first midterms. Can Barack Obama do the same?
I think he can. Obama famously doesn't have so much time for Bill Clinton. I think because Clinton ran to the centre rather than defending his philosophical principles after his midterm defeat. But I think that's the only path forward for Obama today, and it's one that looks like a plausible path. But there's a big if, and the big if is the US unemployment rate. Unless the unemployment rate starts to come down in the next 2 years, it'll be really hard for Obama to be re-elected in 2012.
Professor Geoff Garrett, we do appreciate you joining us and your input. Thank you.
My pleasure.